Hello, little friends. Tonight, we have a very special story about a duckling who feels a little different but discovers something magical about itself. So, snuggle up tight with your favorite blanket and get ready to listen to a gentle tale full of wonder and surprises. Are you ready? Let's begin. In a certain forest, there was a mother duck sitting on her eggs, eagerly awaiting the day she would meet her beloved ducklings. Finally, that day came. One by one, the eggs hatched, and the cute little ducklings jumped out, quacking quack quack. The mother duck was very happy. But there was still one large egg in the nest that hadn't hatched yet, so she lay down again to keep it warm. An old duck passing by asked her, "Hey, what are you doing there? Have all your babies hatched yet?" The mother duck replied, "There's still one egg that hasn't hatched." The old duck came closer to look at the egg and said, "That big egg isn't yours for sure. Maybe it's a turkey egg." The mother duck was a bit doubtful after hearing the old duck's words. The old duck then said, "It's best if you just leave it alone and hurry to teach your ducklings how to swim." "No, I must stay here," said the mother duck, lying down on her nest again. A few days passed, and finally, the last egg hatched. "This duckling is so big and ugly," the mother duck exclaimed after seeing her baby. Could it really be the turkey's child? She began to wonder. The next day, the mother duck led her ducklings to the pond. She jumped in first, then the ducklings followed one by one, including the ugly duckling, who also jumped in and swam. Seeing this, the mother duck thought, "That's good, it can swim, so it's not the turkey's child." However, an unfortunate thing happened. The other siblings teased the ugly duckling all day long, calling it ugly duckling. It was always bullied, chased away, and pecked by its brothers and sisters. Even the young girl who usually fed the ducks kicked the ugly duckling aside just because it was so ugly. The poor duckling had no choice but to hide in a corner and cry alone. One day, it decided to run away from home. At night, it came to a swamp full of wild ducks swimming around. Hungry and tired, it lay down on the grass and fell asleep. The next morning, the wild ducks found the duckling and flew over to greet their new friend. The duckling told them its story. The leader duck showed sympathy, saying, "You are ugly, but we don't care about that. You can stay with us." So, the ugly duckling stayed with the wild ducks for several days. One day, while swimming with the wild ducks, two swallows flew by. Suddenly, a loud bang bang sounded, and the two swallows fell into the reed bushes. They had been shot by hunters. The ugly duckling was so scared that it cried and decided not to stay there anymore. So, it said goodbye to the wild ducks and began its wandering journey again. At dusk, it saw a small house where an old lady lived with a kitten and a hen. "Grandma, can I stay at your house?" the ugly duckling bravely asked. The old lady's eyesight was poor, so she thought it was a fat hen. She thought, "Finally, I have an egg to eat." So, she happily said, "Of course." But 3 weeks passed and the duckling still hadn't laid any eggs. So, the ugly duckling had to leave the old lady's house. This time, it went to a lake. At sunrise, a flock of beautiful swans flew in from a nearby forest. The duckling exclaimed, "Wow, what kind of birds are these? So beautiful. I've never seen any birds this lovely." It thought, "If one day I could be as beautiful as them, how wonderful that would be." After a while, the swans flew away. Soon, winter came. The lake's water was painfully cold, and the duckling had to keep swimming back and forth to stay warm. One day, it found a pile of dry grass and hid there all winter. Finally, spring arrived. Warm sunlight shone down, and larks began to sing cheerfully, welcoming the new season. Then, the ugly duckling saw 3 swans flying by. It joyfully spread its wings and flapped hard against the ground. Suddenly, it felt its wings growing stronger than ever. But the swans had flown far away, and it couldn't catch up. It watched them fly and thought, "If only I were as beautiful as they are, that would be so wonderful." Feeling sad again, it hung its head and went down to the lake. Suddenly, it saw the reflection of a very beautiful white swan in the water. That was the beautiful white swan it had always admired. The children playing by the lake pointed at it and praised, "Look, what a beautiful white swan." The ugly duckling was amazed and exclaimed, "Wow, so I'm not an ugly duckling, but a beautiful swan after all. That's the end of our story, little ones. Thank you so much for listening with me tonight. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to ask your grown-up to subscribe to the channel, so we can share even more cozy stories together next time. Now close your eyes, take a deep breath, and drift off into a peaceful sleep. Good night, my dear, sweet dreams, and see you again soon.